I'm Charles Barranco. I'm very honored to be here today to talk with you. Yesterday is Monday. Very short time here at Public Safety, or back home at Public Safety. Someone and I did an interview and was able to tell my history in law enforcement and during my training and start time here at Public Safety, growing up through the ranks and then moving on to the Sheriff's Office, and where I was appointed as a captain over the detention center, and then very fortunate enough to come home to Public Safety here as the director.
You and I have had this conversation before, but just for everybody else, how long were you at Public Safety before you went to the Sheriff's Office?
About 12 years.
Okay, so, and before that you were at the college, right?
I worked in security there for a couple years.
So overall, how long?
Since 91.
Since 91?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
How different was it working security versus being law enforcement?
Oh, it sure was. It was night and day. We were physical plant security. I'm opening doors for teachers and students at the university, which there was some enforcement of crime or the laws as well at the housing Pacer Downs down at the university. Gave you a little taste of what it was. It also allowed me to build a rapport with the officers that responded there. So,
But you weren't a sworn officer at
I
the
was
time.
not a sworn officer, no.
And when you went to the Sheriff's Office, you worked for the jail?
Well,
You were in charge of the jail?
Originally, when I went to the Sheriff's Office, I went and was part of the Homeland Security Coordinator and the Sex Offender Registry person with some special operations assignments as well. And then a little over a year being at the jail, was appointed to captain over the detention center.
Mm-hmm. And what was that experience like?
It was very eye-opening. I often tell people the story that in law enforcement community, sometimes the detention facilities are sort of the bottom of the totem pole in the law enforcement. However, I submit it's the foundation. If you don't have an effective detention center, it makes it more difficult for the men and women out on the street to be able to be effective in their job. Very eye-opening experience.
Yeah. Now, do you guys at the Sheriff's Office? I know that Richmond County's had lots of problems with overcrowding, and that's kind of typical throughout detention centers in the United States. Did Aiken County have a lot of overcrowding problems as well?
The jail was built and is designed to house 317 inmates. In July 2008, we reached right at 500. However, working with the Solicitor's Office, we were able to bring those numbers way down. I want to say this week it was down in the 270s somewhere.
Oh wow! So well under your capacity out there.
Well, being a direct supervision facility, 80% of that rated capacity you're actually overcrowded because of how you have to separate
Segregate
people
them,
and that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
So,
women and then higher classifications.
that's right. That's right. Does that answer that question?
Yeah.
What kind of changes did you make? How did that get cut down so drastically?
Well, again, it was the solicitor, when he became the solicitor, made it a priority to assist the detention facility in moving cases. Although those people are not just been released, they've either been convicted and moved on to the state level or to other jurisdictions. So, they're just not at our facility now.
You're talking about Strom Thurmond Jr.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's just a quicker system getting people through.
Yeah, and at the state level they enacted some, and I don't really know the proper name for it, but some software or something to move things through the system. There was like a 90-day and 180-day system that they had to meet with certain people to be able to at least see where they are in their case.
Mm-hmm. I know
I'm not exactly sure of the name of that program.
Sure. I know a lot of the problem in Richmond County, and I'm assuming it's fairly common, is things like probation violations, or you have a lot of, a lot of space taken up by people getting sent back to jail because they, were on probation for something or other, and they couldn't pay their fine or something, and now they're back in, they may not necessarily be a violent offender or, but they're there because, it's just the way the system works. Is that
Sure.
kind of one of the things the challenges you had to deal with?
I wouldn't say it was one of the larger challenges, but we did come across that.
Okay, so it's probably a bigger problem in Richmond County because it seems like there's a big portion of those guys there.
Most of our detainees are pretrial
Mhm.
detainees. If they're sentenced to more than 90 days, they go to the State Department of Corrections anyway. So we had some sentenced for 30 or 60 days or up to 90 days. And we also had some family court inmates, which is in South Carolina is actually considered civil. And then but the pretrial was a family court.
Yeah.
So.
How did your time away from public safety help you in your return back to this agency? This
Sure.
department?
I was able to attend the FBI National Academy while I was at the Sheriff's Office. Participate in a lot of leadership training, and so really to help in this administrative role, I think that's helped me significantly.
Talking in terms of your administrative role, kind of give us an idea of what those duties entail
Well,
for the most part.
being here for just a short period of time, I don't know that I could give you a full laundry list of them. However, the majority of my time, other than dealing with some of the incidents that we've had to deal with, has been tied up in budgetary meetings and stuff like that.
Since you touched on some of the incidents, how have you been able to, I guess the department been able to deal with obviously the two officer shootings? It had to be, to say it was tough is an understatement.
Sure.
What has been, the toughest part for you in terms of administrator in moving forward?
Well, I must say that the committed men and women here of Aiken Department of Public Safety have not missed a call of service. Somebody in this community of need has not been let down. They have made every one of those calls and continue to make them today, and I'm very proud to be a part of this organization.
Did you work with Richardson and Rogers before when you were here?
Yes.
So you knew them personally?
Yes.
How are you doing? How are you feeling?
Well, I feel that, again, being around these committed men and women is very encouraging. It's a family here at Aiken Public Safety, and being around our family has let us, each one of us, put one foot in front of the other.
And how about her shift? Is everybody back on? That was on Rogers' shift? Is everybody working full time? Yeah.
Yes.
And how is everybody doing? I mean, what's the feeling here? I mean, is it still really solemn, or is it getting better, or?
Again, these men and women are dedicated to serving this community. You saw the outpour of this community towards Aiken Public Safety, and they feel the same response to them and committed to, responding to calls of people's needs.
Were you surprised by the outpouring of love and affection by the community that he showed the department?
We've been very fortunate in this area, I believe, to have such a strong relationship with our community, especially here at Aiken Public Safety. And it was very supportive. And at times it was just amazing to watch. It really was. Just touching.
Do you think that relationship that this department has with the community, I mean, I'm sure there's a number of factors, the size of the community, but what about the idea that this is a public safety organization or takes care of a lot of things, law enforcement and things beyond that? You think that has something to do with there's more interaction?
I think it's a contributing factor that we, with our fire department, taking first responder calls, the law enforcement side of it and community policing philosophy that we have here, the interaction with the community is a very strong one.
Since I'm not as familiar with Aiken as I used to be, what other kind of community programs do you have? I know you have community policing, but do you have reserve officers or any of those other things?
We use volunteers in our fire department. There's a laundry list of programs that we do. One of the most recent ones that we've been involved with is Pencils and Putters. It's a mentoring program. It's a character building program. It's an athletic program, and our public safety officers are heavily involved in that program. It's an outreach as well to the community.
What is it called, Pencils and Putters? What is it?
Well, pencils, because they do their homework with the students that are involved, and the putters is after their activity is actually hit the golf ball.
Yeah.
So it was born out of First Tee.
Okay, so it's sort of connected to the First Tee program. Okay.
Well, after Officer Richardson was killed, and then about a month and a half later, Officer Rogers was killed. How does a department respond to something? How do you deal, because it's so rare to get an officer killed in the line of duty to begin with, and then you have two in the span of 2.5 months. I mean, how do you regain your footing after that sort of thing? As a department,
I think we have found comfort in work, being together and working, serving this community as we always have. We have a responsibility to this community and providing the services that they've become accustomed to having. And so that dedication of these men and women going out every day, doing that job has allowed us to be together as that family and allowed us to put that one foot in front of the other to move forward.
Are you going to make any changes to any, how you go to suspicious vehicles, or is there anything that you're going to be retraining? Are you going to be doing anything with the officers? Is there a heightened sense of awareness?
We have done several things. We have gone to, in certain areas, two-man cars. We're doing some study and looking at some data of what kind of calls have come in certain areas of town to best utilize those vehicles. Of course, we're always training here, whether it's in legal updates or firearms training or whatever. So we're in a continuous training mode, and we'll continue to be.
So are you going to be hiring more people to fill the two-man cars, or are you just putting people together?
Currently, we're using the resources that we have to be able to fulfill those two-man cars.
And you just hired 4 people, is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
now you said currently you're using the manpower, but given that you're saying you want to at least go to two-person cars, will it lead to additional hiring in the department somewhere down the line?
I don't know that it'll lead to any hiring for the current, other than the current positions that we have.
Because that will require an increase in budget or something. wouldn't it?
Sure,
and you need to get that approved through the.
Absolutely, and with the positions that we have, I think that we can identify those areas that we need to use the two-man cars and then fill them with the slots that we have.
Now, I know one of the things that you're doing, and this is, I think I spoke to David already about this, and it was already scheduled prior to Sandra Rogers' death, but you're sending some officers to Valor training tomorrow. How many are going? Is it 6?
4 or 6. I'm not sure.
Do you know much about that? And that's kind of a new thing the Department of Justice is doing. So you want to speak about that a little bit? If you
I'm not as familiar with the training.
Okay.
I know we have sent some officers and had some very good response in the past. I'm actually going that first day to learn more about it.
Okay. Yeah. supposedly it's designed to help teach officers or help departments avoid some dangerous situations, or if you get into a dangerous situation where loss of life is potential, then how to negotiate that and get out of it safely, I guess, because it's almost never a good situation where the officer has to. I mean, I can see potential ones, but and there was another thing that you did recently. You know Eric Skidmore,
Mm-hmm.
okay, and he brought his team last week, I think,
Sure.
to do a debriefing. Did you take part in that debriefing?
I did.
You did. Without naming names, or obviously that there's a privacy,
Sure, there's a lot of confidentiality in that,
but
and I'd like to honor that if I could.
So I wouldn't want you to talk about individuals, but can you tell about how that helped your department?
Well, I think we were able to talk about any issues that may have arisen, personal, professional, and again, to be able to help put that one foot in front of the other.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Violence violent crimes seem to be going up, and violence against officers. In your 20-year history, is that something that you're noticing as well?
Well, I'd really like to review those numbers that you have, because I'm not familiar with that.
Okay.
I know property crimes are up, but violent crimes,
So it's not something that, I'm just asking if it's something you've noticed, being in the job for 20 years and being involved in law enforcement.
yeah, I know property crimes are up.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the awareness around these two situations have maybe given that sense, but I'd really like to look at the numbers before I comment on that.
Mm-hmm.
But is there a sense in the community that, even though you haven't looked at the numbers and you can't necessarily give any analysis on that, are you concerned that there may be a fear in the community that violent crime is on the increase, and as a citizen, they may not feel as safe as they may have before the recent two officer shootings, and also this, I think, was another shooting a week or so ago here in Aiken. I mean, is there a concern on your part that people are scared, maybe scared to leave their homes, that kind of thing?
We haven't experienced that. We've had community meetings, and during these strategies, we've had prayer vigils where hundreds of people have come out of their homes into the parks, and we've been right there with them, and had that opportunity to interact with different communities. And I can't speak for everybody, but I really don't know that I would say people are scared to come out of their homes.
Well, at these community meetings that you hold, what's the biggest concerns that the people who attend give you, relate to you?
Well, I don't know that they're concerns. We talk about different things, about needs for that particular community, whether it's some people want to park in their area, some people want to see, different city services to be provided, talk about putting community police officers in the neighborhood. So there's a lot of different, I don't know that there's one little area that you're asking to comment on.
How many weeks have you been on the job now, Charles?
3.
3 weeks? 3 weeks?
I started the 21st of January, which was a Saturday.
So not quite a month.
Yeah.
So, but
3 weeks.
So, coming in to the job, I'm sure you had a set of expectations and kind of, I know you talked about when you were named as the director, with the things you're going to be discussing with your top be talking with all the employees and all the leaders here and about what their ideas were,
Sure.
and then start implementing an agenda based on some of those things. And so coming in, a month ago when you're made aware that you're going to be stepping into this role, you probably had some things in mind that you wanted to start working on, or some ideas. Has that changed at all?
Well, actually, here in just a few minutes, we're having another meeting. So it's still continuing to meeting with the divisions and talking about, and it's trying to assess what the path forward is.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I still have those ideas, and determining what the best path forward, working with the people here at Public Safety. The staff have a lot of experience here, a lot of good ideas. We're working with the city administration and painting that path forward. So,
Could you share with us some of those ideas?
they're not conclusive, so I don't know that it's the appropriate time. We probably should have waited to have this meeting a couple months down the road, and I might be able to.
Yeah, it's still early.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you really want to see happen while in your next couple months or your first year?
Well, I would like to see the community policing format put officers back in the neighborhoods to continue to grow that relationship that we have.
Now, some people may not understand what community policing is, so you want to tell us about the benefits of that and what it is?
Well, community policing is, you can call it beat responsibility, intelligent-based enforcement, but I sort of equate it to a direct supervision detention facility. You put that officer in that housing unit to manage that unit. It's just like these community-based police officers to go into these neighborhoods, forge these relationships. It's not to be soft on crime. It's not to take away from anything from officer safety. It is to find out what the root cause of some of the problems in these neighborhoods are, to be able to address them and move past them.
Are there any specific neighborhoods that you are looking at as potential for the community policing that you would care to talk about?
Not really. Again, we're running a lot of numbers right now. I haven't gotten a full report on that. Currently we have some of those community-based police officers downtown and in high visibility areas that we have a lot of the merchants downtown and people coming to downtown to eat, and that's of course we would love to keep somebody there. But I'm sure there's other areas that would benefit from the community policing program too. And let me say this, community policing is not just a division or individuals. It's a department-wide philosophy that from the fire department to investigations to records to dispatch, people participate in. And it's about being involved and taking a part of this community. And that's huge. And that's what public safety's done for a long time. Yeah. And to continue to grow and develop those relationships is very important.
So a lot of, just like everybody else, officers who work, but they may live in a certain part of town and socialize with certain people in that part of town, or maybe churches and stuff, and then work in another part of town. Is there any part of your strategy or possible philosophy that is to try to get those officers who are working here to try to be more involved in some of the other things outside of work in that community that they're working in, maybe in youth programs?
Sure, we support that. Part of our master career path, which is an advancement in a non-supervisory level, actually the officers are able to gain credit to participate in different organizations, Boys and Girls Club, Pencils and Putters, different off-duty volunteer time in the community.
So they're encouraged to do those things and help their advancement within the department. So, okay.
Have you gotten a chance to meet with any of the other, law enforcement leaders around yet, or has it been been to,
Well, a few.
and then not, not about the officer's capacity? I mean, have you been able to do that? Had any sit downs?
Not officially. We just were really busy.
Are there any relationships that you think, need to be maybe reviewed?
I think we're very fortunate in Aiken to have such a cooperative relationship in the law enforcement and fire service communities. Anything I've ever asked for, whether I was here at the sheriff's office, to any other agency, people just drop what they're doing to assist and have seen the same from other agencies. So I think we're very fortunate in this area to have such a close working relationship with other law enforcement and fire service organizations.
So Mike Hunt still takes your phone calls?
He does. He does.
How helpful were the other law enforcement agencies when the tragedies happened? Because I know they came to your aid in terms of calls and all that kind of stuff. So
I can't say thank you enough, and I think we've said thank you privately and publicly, and called people time and time again, the same person multiple times, and said thank you, because it was such a reassuring. Although we have this family here at Public Safety, there's a larger family too, and we couldn't ask for any better support than I think we got.
Have you stayed pretty close with former Director Frommer through all of this?
He and I have had discussions several times, and he's of course very attentive to whatever needs that may arise.
And he's been able to. Go.
did he offer you any advice when the tragedies happened in terms of how to handle things? Or
Well, unfortunately, we had just gone through one on day 7 of my tenure here to Sandy's tragedy.
right?
And of course, there were things that had just been recently done, so that information was very helpful to be able to put some things in place to support our department.
Anything in particular that you're referring to?
Whether it's supporting the family in particular, or dealing with getting things organized for, the funeral that was coming, or stuff like that.
Is there anything in particular that the department is doing for Scotty Richardson's wife? I'm not sure. I'm sure that there are benefits she gets because there are life insurance policies and all kinds of things like that. But there's any benefits that she qualifies for through the city because of what happened?
There's a laundry list of different benefits.
Yeah. Okay.
Is there anything that you want to talk about? Is
No,
there anything
I
that you wanna
appreciate
say?
y'all being here. Again, I wish I had some more information to give you. Like I said, we're still so